Yariv, thank you for joining me today to do this chat. Yariv
My
Bash,
pleasure.
you're the CEO of Flytrex. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Flytrex and what you guys do?
So we at Flytrex are working on drone deliveries. Basically, we're building small airplanes. These are not larger toy drones, but these are FAA certified airplanes. They're a bit small, so they can carry a hamburger or your next iPhone to your backyard, but they are as safe and as efficient as a Boeing or an Airbus. As a company, our vision is all about what we like to call instant gratification. And we believe that in a few years, you'll be able to basically order and get almost everything you need and want as fast as you can order it from your cell phone. Whether it's a hamburger, a sushi dish, or whatever retail item you'd like, as long as it's just a few pounds. So you won't be able to get your next refrigerator using one of our drones, but at least according to what we know, we can carry roughly 90% of the packages that are currently being delivered for retail. So
Right.
it's almost everything.
That's awesome. And so I did a little bit of looking into, you've got a couple of different programs it looks like up and running right now, like where you're doing tests in Iceland as well as in North Dakota. Is that right?
That's correct. And we just won a tender for a drone delivery here in Israel, the first of its kind here in Israel.
Oh, that's
But
exciting.
thank you. But the most of our focus is on the US. It's on working with the US regulations, because once we have our certification in place by the end of this year, we can just start servicing customers throughout the US.
Right. And so do you find is because if you're working in three different countries, then you're dealing with three different sets of regulations, right? Has that been challenging to deal with the different regulations country to country? Are they mostly similar?
So basically, you can split those into two kinds of regulations. Usually what you have in place, and that's the current state all over the world, is giving you an exemption or a waiver to fly those drones above people, above buildings, beyond visual line of sight sometimes. So that's the current state. The only place where the regulator has taken a more thoughtful approach, a futuristic looking approach, is in the States. And the FAA is basically creating a legal framework for the future of drone regulations that will basically enable everybody to take it from a location by location kind of waiver to really a whole industry that's spread out throughout the nation. And that's currently what we're doing in the States. So until then, it was mostly talking with the local regulators, understanding their needs and concerns, which are, you could imagine most of them are similar, and then adhering to the local regulatory framework. With the FAA, we're now about to finish, I'd say it's a 3-year process of receiving a certification that's equal to, again, what companies like Boeing and Airbus are getting for their airplanes. So it's a whole different ballgame.
Right. Yeah, and there's not very many, as far as I'm aware, many companies that have passed that certification in the US for drone deliveries, right? It's a special like Part 135, right?
So there's type certification and Part 135. Of course, the details are, it's a huge, it's crazy. I have a whole
Of
team just
course.
working on that. But basically, you get your type certification that qualifies that your airplane can stay aloft in the air, and
Hmm.
it's airworthy. And your operator, the local operator, gets the Part 135, which certifies it to operate your vehicles.
Right.
So Boeing gets the type certification, and then United or American Airlines receives the Part 135.
Okay.
So we're the third or fourth company to ask for a Part 135 for Cozy Aviation, our local partners in North Carolina. And we might be the third or second to receive that permission in a few weeks.
That's really cool. And now, so are your drones operated by a person or are they automated?
So it's a little bit of both. We like to say that they're semi-operated. We've designed the system that is basically it's idiot-proof on both sides. We're going to serve the regular consumer. So all you have to do as a consumer is input your home address, like you always do, and our systems automatically translate that into an X and Y location in your backyard suitable for delivery.
Right.
So even my operators, the guys on the ground, they're not putting any point on any map. The system basically tells them, please install package 18 on drone B, perform a pretty short pre-flight test. We try to have those as automated as possible, and press the green button. Once they press the green button, the system automatically takes control. The drone takes off on its own, flies to the destination, lowers, so we can hover up to almost 100 feet above your backyard. We then lower the package on a wire. We don't land, we stay up in the air. And all the consumer has to do after the drone leaves is take the package. The package is automatically get released from the hook, and the drone fly away. And even if you as the end customer, you haven't read the instructions and you're out there pulling the wire, all you're going to get is a wire. We just release it and fly back. So
okay.
it's really a system that was designed to be used by everyone, both on the consumer side and the operator side. So we call it semi-automatic.
Right. And I think that everyone's pretty comfortable and like familiar, at least with the idea of drone delivery. I think it's the big problem that I know a lot of people have is just it's a moonshot, right? I mean, it's a fundamental change in the way we operate. Like it's as big of a fundamental shift as like switching from landlines to everyone going to like mobile phones. Like it's that kind of like transformative kind of thing. And so I think safety is going to be, I mean, obviously like the first and foremost concern, because you have a 6-pound package flying over your head. And then you've got, I mean, what, how heavy is it? 20-pound drone?
Maximum takeoff weight is roughly 30 pounds.
Right.
So
then
you've got a small lawnmower flying above your head.
Right. Yes, exactly. So can you?
But you know, John, today you've got airplanes that weigh hundreds of tons flying above your head. And if they crash in your lawn, it's going to be your problem. If I crash on your rooftop or lawn, it's mostly going to be my problem.
Right. No, without a doubt. And I agree 100%. But can you tell me a little bit about like some of the safety things that you guys have been building in it? Because I think that's going to go a long way.
I agree. So first you've mentioned the moonshot. So this is my second moonshot. The first one actually crashed on the moon last year. A decade ago, I started a not-for-profit that raised $100 million. And we actually built a robotic spacecraft that crashed on the moon last year.
What?
It was the first of its kind. It was the first private deep space mission, the first privately sponsored robotic, something that got out of Earth's orbit. We reached a lot of first ones, so you can read about it. It's called Space IL, as in Space Israel. So that was that's something that I started a decade ago as a not-for-profit.
Well, so you've got a good claim to moonshots then.
Exactly. So, well, basically people, they're concerned about basically one of three. It's safety. I don't want that thing to crash on my head. Noise. Yep. Is this going to be noisier than a car? And privacy. Is this vehicle going to take images of me, of my house, of my backyard? So going the way back, privacy, we don't have any cameras on board. We don't need them.
Yep.
So there's no privacy issues. Noise, when we're hovering 100 feet above your backyard, we're less noisier than a car or a scooter driving by, or of course than a truck. And regarding safety, that's what we've been working on for 3 years now with the FAA. It doesn't matter that I'm going to be a lot safer than current alternatives. Think about a delivery courier driving for 10 hours straight on the road, I don't
Right.
know if he slept last night, if he's texting his girlfriend or he had a fight with her. Drones are already a lot safer. We currently pay less than 1/5 for our third-party liability insurance than what an Uber driver pays for his car.
Really?
But because we're working with the FAA, we're going to be a lot safer than that. We're going to be as safe as general aviation. We've got multiple levels of redundancy. We can sustain a battery loss, a GPS receiver loss, a motor loss. And even if everything fails and we're just going to fall out of the sky, there's another independent system with its own backup battery or power supply that triggers a parachute and sounds a siren. So even if that drone is now blowing with a parachute towards you, you'll hear it coming and you'll be able to even just raise your hand, so you'll be maybe get a scratch. So
Right.
it's going to be a lot safer than anything in the market for on-demand deliveries, and it's going to be as safe as general aviation.
That's really cool. And I think that most people, like I've flown a hobby drone, right? And I think that everyone's used to like, I clip a leaf on a tree and then this whole thing just like falls apart and falls out of the
Exactly.
sky. And so there's like an education problem of like helping people understand like there's a big difference between the $50 drone you bought at the store and what you guys are using.
Yeah, so from my experience, once people start getting the hamburgers and pizzas in 20 minutes or less, you get used to it really, really fast. I mean, from what we've seen, in the first few times, the customers, they look out the window, they expect the drone to come and they take pictures with their cell phones. But after a few times, they just go out and pick up the package from the backyard after the drone leaves. It
Right.
becomes
Just normal.
something as ordinary as your postman giving you bringing you a letter.
Yep. So how many packages are you guys delivering, right? Like what's the size of your test that you guys are running at the moment?
So currently it's really small, nothing to write home about. We're talking about a handful of drones all over the place,
Okay.
but we expect that to increase rapidly once we start getting the approvals needed. So by the end of this year, we'll be servicing hundreds of families per location, if not thousands of families.
Okay.
That's
That's excellent.
the current milestones.
So when do you expect that certification will come through, or when you guys hoping for?
By the end of this year, by the end
By
of
the end of this
2020.
year? All right, excellent. So I'll have to have you back on to talk more about, what's going on once you guys get that pushed through. And so tell me, because I think that you're going to have a lot of people that are wondering about, it's the same with with autonomous trucks. It's the same with, I mean, robotic systems
Mhm.
are probably a little bit closer. But like, how long do you think it'll be until like most people can say, "I've had a drone deliver me something in my backyard," where
So,
it's
mhm.
ubiquitous.
It's funnily enough, drone deliveries are a lot simpler than robotic deliveries on the ground. The skies are practically they're open for you. Nobody
Right.
flies at those altitudes. It's really, we're talking about flying at 200, 300 feet. You can't really hear or see us while we're cruising, but
Hmm.
there's no one else there. And compare that to a robotic car that has to maneuver streets and signs and other traffic. That's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
So I expect you to see drone deliveries a lot faster than you'll see ground-based robotic deliveries. They do have a big plus, and that's the weight. They can
Hmm.
carry a lot more. So for weekly groceries, that could be perfect because you don't really care if it will come in 20 minutes or an hour and a half. But for everything else, I guess you'll see drone deliveries a lot faster. If we're talking about that, another interesting thing that we believe we will see is that once you'll be able to just order pasta for dinner or a bottle of wine or those tomatoes for the salad you're making, the way you do groceries will change. 15 years ago, when you logged into Amazon.com, you'll add item to the cart, And once you have enough items, you'll check out. Today, nobody does checkout. You just buy now. You don't
Right.
really care. It gets to you usually the day after, or even sometimes during the same day. So we expect and hope to see the same kind of behavior with groceries once drone deliveries are in place, because it's just so much faster and cheaper than any alternative.
Have you guys started talks with like any grocery chains about starting delivery and things like that, or?
I'm sorry, but I can't currently comment on that.
Oh, all right. Hey, no, that's okay. Maybe that's a next year topic, right? So, all
Exactly.
right. Well, Yariv, I really appreciate you coming on. Tell me or tell everyone, how can they learn more about you? Where can they find out information?
So you can come to flytrex.com. You can go to our Facebook page, like us. We've got, I think, more than 25,000 followers by now, which is nice.
Fantastic.
And
Congratulations.
hopefully by next year, you might get lucky and find yourself being serviced by a drone.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Yariv, thank you so much. Everybody check out Flytrex. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.